Welcome back. We're still on to Wake Up Nigeria. And of course, it's Breastfeeding Week. And we have Titlayo Medunoye. She's the founder, CEO of Milky Express International, a company dedicated to the welfare of nursing moms in consultation of all things lactation, advisory on suitable lactation products, and the production of lactation-enhancing goods. She's joined us today to talk about the importance of breastfeeding in the life of a mother and her child. Good morning, Miss Titi.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me, and happy World Breastfeeding Week.
Yes, we're glad to have you join us this morning. Okay, so now let's move over to, let's talk about the theme for this year's Breastfeeding Week, which is supporting breastfeeding for a healthier planet.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay,
loud and clear.
so quickly, let's talk about the theme, which is supporting breastfeeding for a healthier planet. How can you connect both breastfeeding and the environment, climate change? What's that about? Tell us about it quickly.
Okay, sure. I think quite a number of people have asked me about this, because the theme for this year was not as straightforward as we usually have it to be. But what we are seeing now is that breastfeeding has a lot of role to play, or has a lot of impact in our everyday life. And even when it comes to, the planet, like dealing with issues of, sustainability or renewability, of the planet. So when we consider breastfeeding and what it takes out of the healthcare system, manufacturing system, it has a ripple effect on sustaining the planet. So that's really what they're talking about here. So the more mothers can breastfeed their babies, we have lesser issues with public health. There are fewer resources in the hospitals or health services. There's, and because there are fewer resources on things that would have to be used to treat issues that result as a factor of that result rather from not breastfeeding, if you understand what I mean. So because of these issues, there's a ripple effect. So imagine that babies who don't breastfeed fall ill more easily. So when the baby falls ill, what are the things that we have to use to help the baby feel better? What are the things that go into the manufacturing process to help the baby feel better? So all of these things are things that we consider, and even on the mother's side, so the benefit that breastfeeding will offer to the mother as well, as against her not breastfeeding and the possibly getting, for example, breast cancer and then treating that. So all of the effects of not breastfeeding has a negative effect on the planet. So that's what we mean by that.
All right, fantastic. Now let's break it down to our women who are watching right now. The essential nutrients that's contained in the breast milk that is very essential for a baby's well-being. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Really, breast milk contains every single thing that a baby needs to stay alive and to keep alive for the first couple of months in their life, right? And I think that one of the first and most important thing that I would like to properly speak on in terms of the benefits of breastfeeding, like nutrition related,
Yeah.
I think I would say serves as a major immune booster for your baby. So when babies are born, babies don't have that kind of immunity that we have. So taking breast milk for the first couple, and these are one of the reasons why the World Health Organization would say that you should breastfeed exclusively for 6 months,
6
right?
months, yeah.
Exactly, because, and at this point, breast milk rather has the component that properly protects your baby from illness. It helps to boost the baby's immune system. So it has quite a lot of nutrients. We're talking about vitamins, we're talking about minerals. There's a long list, We're talking about immune boosting factors. So yeah, there's a long list of the things that breastfeeding can do for your baby that you really cannot get from formula.
Okay, now I'm going to, this is very, very personal to me because I remember I have a 10-month-old baby. and she stopped breastfeeding when she was 4 months. And I know of friends who actually had similar instances. In that kind of situation, what do you advise?
So usually in that kind of situation, I would ask more questions, right, to see what has changed in the mom's pattern. So usually when a baby stops breastfeeding or has a period of breast refusal, there are a couple of things that could have caused it. One, a mother's diet could have changed. The
Okay.
baby's schedule could have changed. You know, it could be that maybe mom has gone back to work, things are changing, and the baby has to also adjust themselves to meet that new demand. You know, for us, we may feel like, oh, okay, I mean, it's a normal thing. I've been at home for 3 months and now it's time to go back to work. And you just go back to work one day and you're gone for hours, you know? So doing that to a baby is kind of like a shock. Like, I haven't seen this person for like almost 8 hours. What is going on? You
Okay.
know, so having a plan to always ease a baby into these changes, is always the best way to go. So having asked these questions, what has changed in your schedule? What has changed in your feeding patterns? What has changed in your baby's meals? Also, you may be, have started including other foods for your baby, and the baby now seems to prefer a different texture of food, which is not a problem, you know, but we just want to advise that even if you include other foods for your baby, still continue to offer breast milk as a side meal or as a substitute, you know, while still, offering other food. So a lot of factors could cause, and it may not be a permanent thing, you know. The baby may also be feeling ill.
Okay.
We find that babies who get a cold or who have, infected tonsils don't want to breastfeed, and not just breastfeed, but they don't want to eat as much because the process of breastfeeding and arranging their suck and swallow, you know, will be discomforting, will be uncomfortable to them.
Okay.
So you find that babies will generally have an averse, will not want to eat as such, not just breast milk, you know. But yeah, so questions will be asked to really see what caused this and then determine how we can move forward from that.
Okay, now let's talk about being an advocate for breastfeeding. Yes. What methods are you and maybe some other advocates, putting in place to make sure, to insist that, more time is given to new mothers, like maybe extending the maternity leave to maybe 6 months, so that during that period, the baby has sufficient breast milk, to aid the development of the child?
Well, to be honest with you, that process hasn't been easy, because obviously that has to do with working with policymakers to see how they can influence or make or change policies that further benefits a breastfeeding mother and a newborn, right? So that process has not been easier. Having the chance to be able to get meetings, to be able to speak with the right person, the bureaucracies of all of that has not been easy. But however, what has been easier for us is getting directly to the mothers, right? So we are always able to, apart from talking to mothers via social media, which is what we do a lot.
Okay.
We also go in general hospitals, healthcare centers,
Okay.
partner with the nurse there, give free healthcare talks and give free breastfeeding advice, and just continue to encourage moms about breastfeeding. And something else that we always do is always to dispel the myths around breastfeeding. So we find that a lot of people get their breastfeeding advice from their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunts. And whether we like it or not, there has been so much more research,
Yeah.
that pretty much pushes away a lot of these things that have been passed down from generations. So you
Okay.
find that mothers are saying things like, oh, because I haven't breastfed my baby for 24 hours, it means that my breast milk has gone bad and I cannot breastfeed. And these are things that she has been told. So you find that a lot of the problems that we also have when we look at breastfeeding rates in Nigeria is because, one, we don't have professionals who are educated, clinically educated, with up-to-date breastfeeding practices available to really teach mothers what to expect and what to do while breastfeeding. And we also have not been able to fully push aside all of the myths that have been passed down from many generations and that mothers still believe happen. And I tell you, the things that I hear, it's amazing. It's amazing. I hear mothers talk about the fact that they had to stop breastfeeding early because their partner wanted to get intimate with them.
Yes,
and they have been told that you cannot be intimate with your partner and breastfeed because I'm not going to go into all of that details, but yes, we hear a lot of things that are pretty much, ridiculous and outdated that some mothers still believe. So yeah, those are the kind of things that we have.
Okay, so talking about myths, finally, the pandemic is, with us right now, and how does, well, there's also that, saying that if a mother has COVID-19, she could also pass that to her newborn. Is that true?
So if a mother has COVID-19, she could also pass it on to her newborn, simply as if anybody had COVID-19, they could pass it on to anybody around them. Okay. So, it's an infection. It's a virus that can be, caught by anybody, whether you're a mother, a grandmother, a father, a boy, a girl, anyone who has had contact with anyone who has, COVID-19 or has been exposed to the virus is possible that the person can contact it. Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay. But the breast milk is actually supposed to prevent infections, prevent the baby from getting infections. So one would think that, the breast milk is, strong enough to fight the virus.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing. Sometime in March, when the lockdown started, and it seemed like we were more like in the midst or in the heat of COVID. Not to say that we no longer are, but the World Health Organization now began to push out information that encouraged breastfeeding mothers to continue to breastfeed, even if they have COVID.
Even if they have COVID, great. Even if they have. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Medunoye, for enlightening us on the need for breast milk. It's important. And I really hope that a lot of women listening right now, a lot of mothers listening right now and watching have learned so many things from this conversation. Have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.